Hey, there we go. Hey, that was the longest intro we've ever had. I think it was like 2.5 minutes or so. Hey, folks, welcome. Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, August 5th, 2020. I'm so happy to be here in my beach bungalow, in my green screen studio, down deep in the basement in New Jersey. Welcome. Tonight's special, really special. And as usual, I'm very excited because tonight we have a special guest on, Jefferey Voorhees, who was Alex Kintner in the wonderful Jaws film, 1975, which is fantastic. And everyone knows Jaws and everyone loves it. And we're going to talk about some other stuff as well. But first, before we even get into that, we need to bring on the co-host. And I'd like to welcome the wonderful, funny, and always on time, Walt Poops a Lot.
I'm on vacation, baby. Going to the beach. Going to the beach.
What's going on?
Go out there, Alex Kintner. That little Kintner boy are gonna spill all over your internet tonight. You think I'm gonna open up that shark and that little Kintner boy gonna come out? Ain't gonna come out.
Who are you impersonating right now? Is that?
I have no idea. It's a character.
The mom.
I think they should have had it on the an episode of Taxi one time.
Actually, the characters in this Jaws movie was so strong. Everyone was, it was actually, wasn't this the one that really brought Spielberg into his being?
Spielberg was, it was. I'm telling you, this came out in 1975. Scared the bejesus out of me.
Did it?
This movie. Oh my God! I remember. I was down in Jersey. I was a poor little boy down in Jersey City, and I went to the Hudson Cinema, and I had to have somebody sneak me in the movie theater because I wasn't old enough to go. Remember, I was 11 years old when this movie came out.
Oh, well, you're giving away your age. But, so I do recall this movie, too, as a kid. And I remember people were afraid to go to the beach. I remember, it was everywhere. After seeing this, you were afraid to go to the beach ever again. And it's out of fear. And there was a scene in this movie that was very fearful also. I think it was the one where
Which one?
Dreyfus was in the water underneath there in a mask, and the head came out. When he was looking at there was a boat underneath.
That was Ben Gardner. Ben Gardner.
Yeah.
Remember, he grabbed the tooth. He grabbed the big tooth, was the size of a shot glass. The mayor goes, do you have that tooth? No, I don't have that tooth. Something happened. Tell him you saw Ben Gardner's face.
I remember that was a really, really cool scene.
One of the eyes were missing. Ben Gardner.
But now, looking back, it was really frightening as a kid. But now looking back, I mean, it's 2020 and that was 1975. It's a long time ago. And looking back now, it looks like a Don Post mask. I don't know if you're familiar with Don Post, but he makes great masks.
It does. It looks like something you can buy at like a convenience store, like at an Exxon station during Halloween.
But this is the thing that brought. I mean, Spielberg. I think didn't I don't know what did Spielberg. Do you know what Spielberg made before this movie?
No, but he made E.T. and
no, that was that.
I think this was a little known director, Steven Spielberg. That's what I think this was.
I don't recall, but there was another movie, and I keep thinking of him associated with it. It was the sci-fi movie that was done in the early 70s or late 60s, and it was.
He did Back to the Future, which was the 80s.
No, way back before that. In fact, the after effect of that movie was Logan's Run, which, by the way, is one of my favorite movies. Logan's Run was
never saw it.
Never saw Logan's Run? Get out of here! You weren't a big sci-fi.
Wasn't that a TV series too? That was a TV series too.
Yeah, but that
you ever see Sliders? You ever see the TV show Sliders?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say, don't be playing around with sci-fi stuff. I'm rewatching Lost right now because of the sci-fi on it.
I never watched Lost. I never watched it.
It's good, man. I'm back on season 5 already. Binge watched it in 2 weeks.
I told you.
Nobody knows. None of our comments know what the movie was that Steven Spielberg did before Jaws.
I believe it was. Before. I could be wrong about who it is. I'm not positive.
What movie? Logan's Run?
No, Logan's Run came out after it. There's a wonderful sci-fi movie about people that are all taking pills, and they're all like their society of just worker bees, and it's all about the state and the man controlling people. It was like R2D2 number R2752. It was a very early movie. I think Spielberg invented.
Sounds like it sucks.
No, it was great. It's actually really
Well,
good.
you're sucking at describing it.
Yeah, you know it is. I really am sucking at describing. I don't recall. I remember,
I got these out by my pool. I ran out to get this just for the effect.
by the way, there's something wrong with our stream tonight. By the way, just for that, give you a heads up here. If anybody wants to know, I have to actually flip over and look at Facebook in order to see the actual comments. Last stream,
Again? Or maybe because of the storm yesterday.
Yeah, it's not. Our comments are not working through StreamYard, and our stream is not actually physically going into the Oath Keepers, striketv.org.
Oh, it's not.
Nope, I sent you a message earlier, and it wasn't working. But we'll have to deal with that another day. But in the meantime,
we'll work with it.
Yeah, we'll work with it. It's just me and you, and I could always flip flop back and forth between the comments to see what's going on.
So we have Alex Kintner tonight, the little boy who got eaten on the raft there after his mother said, "Don't go in the water. Your fingers are pruning."
Your fingers are
just a little while longer, and now you're not with us, pal.
Do you remember going to the beach as a kid?
Yeah.
Do you remember also wanting to stay in the water? Your mom telling you no constantly?
Yeah. I didn't go out there when I knew there was rumors of sharks.
I remember eating egg salad on the beach, but there was nothing worse than eating an egg salad sandwich with crunchy sand in it. No matter how
I don't even eat egg salad now.
Oh, I love egg salad. But as a kid, no matter how much your mom wrapped around the saran wrap, the Reynolds wrap, the saran, the clear stuff, when you wanted to take it off, you were eating sand. No matter what happened, there was always sand in the egg salad. Yeah. And it was sand or shell.
There was sand in everything. You could have a bag of barbecue potato chips and there was sand on them somehow. Yeah.
What beaches did you go to as a kid?
I was in Point Pleasant, Seaside Heights.
Oh.
Wildwood.
I'm looking at the side comments. Sam Ash got it. Thank you, Sam Ash. You know what the name of the movie was? THX. Ever see it?
That was Steven Spielberg?
I believe so. Let me take a quick look, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, but he did. There is no way that movie was even close to what Jaws is. I mean, Jaws, it's 45 years right now.
THX 1138 is the name of the movie. And let's see, that was done. I want to make sure to see if I don't know if it was really 1971. Right. Directed by George Lucas.
So 4 years
way off, dude. Way off. George Lucas was director. I was wrong.
All right, so who was your favorite character in the movie Jaws?
You know, that's a good question because, you know, this movie, all the characters are really, really strong. I guess my favorite character, my favorite is the shark.
All right, so the shark. All right, so you're taking the other side of it.
I think all the characters are really over the top strong there, and you relate to each and every one of them. I was thinking about this last night. Is it just because do you love this movie, and is it a classic because it was the first time we were frightened by sharks, the same way The Exorcist was the first time we were frightened by demonic spirits, or is it because the characters are so strong? They're really so strong.
You know what it was? It was like one of the first. Listen, Shark Week is huge on TV. It's huge. I mean, everybody looks. They mark that on their calendars. Shark Week is coming, and you sit there for like 5 hours a day watching shark shows. So sharks are very interesting to start with, but this movie here, and it's one of the movies. Like there's a handful of movies, maybe 20 movies that you know all the words to. You know, you start saying like Die Hard. I say every word in the movie Die Hard. You know, when they're coming on. And it's almost like a game I play with myself that I got to say before Bruce Willis. But this one here, it's like, you know, the things that Quint came out with. You know, Hooper drives the boat, Chief. You know.
I know.
Everybody knows what that is. If I said that, everybody would know that.
And that's, you know, that character became synonymous with people walking around making that kind of angry kind of character. Like,
yeah.
Damn kid, you know.
Yeah, remember how he was introduced, though?
No,
he was introduced by taking his nails on a blackboard and going,
and then he wanted, how much money did he want?
Well, they wanted to give $3,000 for it. He goes, $3,000, I'll find him for you. But I value my neck a lot bigger than that, so I'll find him for $3, but I'll kill him for $10.
Bingo. That's what it was. It was $10,000.
Get over 10. No, sound like Mr. Crab.
I thought about it. What was $10,000 in 1975? That was a lot of money.
A lot of money. $3,000 was a lot of money back in 1975.
10 grand to today compared to today's standard must be 100, 200, $250,000. I mean, it must $100,000 at least. Wow.
How many guys?
I got some photos here.
Life over.
I got some great photos here from the original. Well, there's a Jaws 2. There's the original Jaws poster.
No, I don't know if that's the original one. That might be like the DVD that came out. It was him looking straight up at a girl swimming. Which, by the way, when you were in 1975, how old were you in 1975? So you were probably, what were you born in, 62?
62, yeah.
So 62, 75, you were what?
I'm very good at math.
Right? So 62, so you were what, 13 years old?
I don't know, whatever. Yeah.
62 and 13 is 75. It came out in 75. If you were like me, you were trying to see that girl through the murky waters naked. I know I was.
At that time, probably, I was probably deeply looking at the girl. And here's Jaws 2, where you could actually see her front.
Yeah, Jaws 2. Now, if you remember how Jaws 2 started, this girl's, her and her friend, the girl's driving a boat, and she's on one water ski, and she's driving out there, and she's having a good old time, and the shark comes up and just grabs her. And then the other girl goes around looking for her, pours gasoline all over the place, because that's the first thing you do, is pour gasoline over everything, including yourself, and then you shoot a flare and blow the boat up.
I'm just funny. I'm laughing at Rob MC on our notes goes, I was 3. You're lucky to be that young.
Right. That's all right. Just stay away from the COVID.
That's the truth. Speaking of COVID, so you and I both were speaking about this off the air. The woman who played Brody's
Mrs.
wife,
Kintner.
Mrs.
Kintner.
Kintner. Yeah, her name was Lee Fierro, right?
Yes, that was Mrs. Kintner.
Kintner. Yeah. She died on April 5th of 2020 with corona. Just recently.
Corona COVID, yeah. So Mrs. Kintner, you know, she had no right smacking Brody. You know, it wasn't Brody's fault.
We have to address that, by the way.
Yeah, she came up and you know, Brody let her smack. I would have, you know, seen that coming, maybe blocked it a little bit with my arm. You know, yeah, I would have done something. Maybe give her a little shot back in the head, saying I knew about it, but these guys right here didn't want the beaches to be closed because of money.
The mayor said to him in that movie, he said to him, don't listen to her. That wasn't your fault. And he goes, yes, it was, because he knew it was really his fault for allowing these idiots to. But you see, again, that's why it's great character and great storyline. It's like all that's playing out.
I think his name was Murray Hamilton, the mayor. The mayor's got some of the best lines in that movie. See that right there, Brody? That's that graffiti right there. You know,
the mayor
was on the beach too.
He's like the pompous guy. He's like the pompous.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what's all about. It's like all about the money. It doesn't matter. Listen, it's July 4th here. We're gonna have a great time. Everything's gonna be good. We'll say it's this. We'll do that. I mean, it's perfect. It's the typical township worried about, you know, the township making money and rather than what's important. I get it. It's so funny.
And for all those people out there that don't know this, I mean, you should know this. Is Martha's Vineyard is what is that? My brother-in-law Rob never
seen this movie.
My Lord, Rob. But Martha's Vineyard.
I'm getting the things just started popping in. I'm getting yeah, you go look at that. See, the video looks better too. Look, thank you, Rick.
There you go. Very good, Rick.
Son of a beach. Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel, I think he's got Tourette's. He may have just have Tourette's. Just yell stuff out for nothing.
We know what he does.
It was Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard is actually Amity Island.
Okay.
So you can go up there, and our guest, Jeffery Voorhees, who played Alex Kintner, he actually still lives there. He lived there, and he still lives there. And he's going to come on and tell us what it's like living there. He's going to give us some Robert Shaw, Quint stories.
You probably know this too. I was looking up information about this, and there's trivia on this. It was Alex's actor, Jeffery Voorhees, coincidentally has the last same name as the serial killer, Jason Voorhees, in Friday the 13th.
It's funny. You know what's funny? I'll tell you the story about that real quick. Mike Morse, who makes our little cartoons for the next show. When you told him it was Jason Voorhees that was going to be on the show. Yep. So he automatically thought he was making a Friday the 13th caricature.
Yes, I know. I heard.
He goes, wait a minute, that dummy Peasy, he made me think it was Friday the 13th. Yeah, but it's spelled differently. He's got an IES at the end, and the serial killer has EES at the end.
That's correct. But a lot of things something else that people don't know too about what Mike does with the beautiful artwork that he makes us is that he put the license plate on there with the exact license plate.
That is so. I'm looking at this cartoon, right? And I look at it and I'm like, this is genius. What I wanted Mike to do was have a shark with me, you, and Alex Kintner on skis, and the shark behind us, and we're just waving. Mike comes up with Alex Kintner on his little yellow raft that he got killed on, fishing, catching the shark with you in the shark's mouth with a license plate, and me riding the back of the shark.
There it is.
Yeah, and me riding the back of the shark. And then I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Wait a minute.
The license
plate says Louisiana. And then I researched it, and that's the license plate number that they pulled out of the shark's stomach.
When they cut him open.
He actually made it with the right license plate number.
And I called him and I said, Mike, what's the deal with the number on there? Like, what is that? Does that mean anything? Is there like some Illuminati symbolism you're throwing in your artwork now? And he goes, no, I watched yours. I've watched it hundreds of times. I'm like, seriously? He goes, you kidding me? I could quote every line in that movie. I'm like, get the hell out of here. He goes, yeah, I know every line in the movie. I'm like, well, then you're the guy to actually draw these pictures. That's perfect. I mean, it's actually he does really beautiful work. I mean, we're not here to talk about that, but he's great. He really is great. Very talented.
Right down to the yellow raft that the kid rented from the beach and went out there. I want, it's funny. They usually rent those yellow rafts like right there when you go to the beach. Did they get their deposit back on that, you think?
I doubt that very much, though. People saying hello to us there. Hi, John. Hi, Walter. Nice tans. Oh, really? Okay.
Lisa and her husband, they binge watched the 11 shows. She was the one I was telling you about. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. By the way, because we don't have much time, but just about this movie, there's a lot of things there's another little piece of trivia about this movie that I was looking at here. Lee Fierro, who played Alex's mother, I looked this up on the internet, happened to go into a restaurant many years after the film that was released and saw Alex Kentner burger on a yeet, which he mentioned was Voorhees ran out and met her. Apparently, Alex Kentner burger is on a menu inside a restaurant in Martha's Vineyard. And the two had met since the filming of Jaws, and she just happened to be going into a restaurant to eat. She sees the Alex Kentner burger, and Voorhees ran out to meet her. How weird is that?
Interesting.
Very, very weird. And Voorhees apparently now is a manager at a seafood restaurant. The Wharf on the actual island of Martha's Vineyard is a restaurant still serves a sandwich called the Alex Kentner burger. So
that's probably the place. I wonder what part that is in. I forgot. Oak Bluff, I think, is one of the areas, and it's broken down into like 4 areas. Martha's Vineyard, and they played in the Ritchie. I know when they put up that whole dock where they left the boat and they filmed all of that stuff, that the Martha's Vineyard made them take the whole scenery down. I mean, they were going to leave the docks and all of that kind of stuff there, and they didn't want it. Wow. You would think it would be some kind of an attraction that you take pictures at the Jaws dock or something, but I guess that's just stupid marketing on Martha's Vineyard.
Interesting, and he's here now, Jeff. So we should actually bring him in and
bring him in.
Because we'd ask him where that is, because I have no idea, and I know people would like to ask him questions as well. More importantly, let's bring him in with a nice
Jefferey
round of applause.
Voorhees, Alex Kintner, all grown up. We're gonna do a little Batman. We're gonna do a Batman show.
I threw that in for you. Alex Kentner, who played Jefferey Voorhees' film career lasted for one scene in the most famous summer blockbuster film of all time. In Jaws 1975, Alex Kentner played the kid who takes the inflatable raft and out for a swim and never comes back. And I'm sure he's heard that intro so many times, so many times.
Came back.
He actually was the second shark victim in the film, and the first death witnessed from the beach by Chief Brody, who was played by Roy Scheider. And apparently Voorhees, Jeffrey has never acted in another film, but still, after 39 years, the Jaws fanatics keep circling him. So, and
good for him.
Yeah, really good for him is right. And let's bring him on in here, and to nothing but major applause. So, folks, here he is, Jeffery Voorhees. There you go.
There we go. What's up, Jeff?
Here.
Alex Kintner.
The dead Alex Kentner.
Now, I'm sure you're sick and tired of this. And I'm almost embarrassed that we asked you to do this because, but you know what? I think it's cool. Anybody can get Richard Dreyfuss. Anybody can get, the big stars. We want the guys that just had a little part in the movie to
That
tell
was
us
a major
everything
part,
that happened.
That little part was the beginning of an insanity in the movie. I mean, if you think about it, it was like the first seeing him get the blood squirt. I mean, as a matter of fact, I have a little film that we could play here if he wants to see it. But
wait a minute, if I'm not mistaken, Jeffrey, didn't we lose Pippet at the same time as you?
Yes, Pippet went before me. I was the third.
Pippet was the dog, the black Labrador that they threw the stick in the water.
Pippet, no dog.
Here, Pippet.
Well, let's
ahead,
ask Jeff. Walt, let's ask Jeff. Let's ask him. Jeff, tell us what is your experience of that whole event? What's the first thing that comes to your head when you think about this time in your life?
Well, everyone talks about, oh, you're afraid of the shark and stuff, but they started filming this up here on Martha's Vineyard, and they filmed it in May, and that water is freezing cold in May. So a lot of people say, were you afraid of the shark? No, I was afraid of freezing my 12-year-old ass off in that water because that was some cold water that they were filming it in. But
that's cool. So, do you get residual checks for that movie or no?
Anytime it's on TV, you still get a little check. They're not much anymore, but like my brother, he lives over in Spain, and you get a little text message. Good news, you just died on TV over here. That's how you get a little check here and there.
That's cool. See, they cut all these young actors out. They cut them all out.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they cut all of the child actors out. I'm sure that the estate of Roy Scheider is still getting a nice big check. But listen, you were in one of the all-time most famous movies. True. Check or no check, you could turn that into anything you want.
Oh yeah, it pays to die.
Right.
Let me ask you this though: considering back in those days, that were you trying to become an actor, or you just got lucky to be on that movie, and then later on you didn't act after it? So what was the reasoning behind all of that?
No, we had just moved up to Martha's Vineyard, Amity Island here. That same year they were making the movie, and found out, hey, they're making a movie. They're going to give you $40 a day to be an extra. So it's just walking distance from where you lived. You come in town and sign up, and then a couple of days later, they called a few people back and said, read a line or two, and they give you a piece of paper. And I go, okay. And they go, okay, we'll give you a speaking part. You get $140 a day. So
wow,
good money when you're a little kid. $100.
Sure.
But never knew about royalty down the road and all that.
Now, where was that filmed on Martha's Vineyard? I know there's Menemsha, there's Oaks Bluff. Isn't it broken down into 4? Where was that part shot?
Oh, you can tell you're not from the island. Oak Bluffs and Edgartown. There's a long state beach in between the two of them. And there's a large bridge that connects Oak Bluffs and Edgartown. And they call it the Jaws Bridge now because people go out, there's tours down there all the time. And it's a bridge right in between the two towns on this long beach. Is where they filmed my scene.
Is that where the shark went? It was going to the pond. It goes, shark in the pond. Is that the bridge?
Yeah, it goes under the bridge because like I do a lot of cameo. Like I did a cameo up there the other day or yesterday, and it's funny because people love it because I go down to the beach where I died, and right on that beach there, they had all these fake little beach houses that looked real. We saw Brody sitting there with his kids and
Yeah.
me, my dear mother in the movie, and a lot of other people. But the beach houses, they look good. You go on the other side of the dunes, and it was just plywood held up by 2x4s.
Really?
And
Wow.
The magic of
that,
movies.
Smoke and mirrors.
and
Smoke
that,
and mirrors. What about? Did you get to meet the director?
oh yeah, they would. Spielberg, he was really nice. It's one of his first movies that he was doing, so he had to have everything perfectly done. And so basically, the scene that I die in when I was eating, that's where I asked my mother. Her name was Lee Fierro. I asked her if I go back in the water, and she says, "Oh, Alex, your fingers are pruned." And I beg her, and unfortunately, she lets me go in because that's where you start hearing the first Pippin and Susan, the girl that dies before me. You didn't hear the dun dun, but I'm the first one that where this little kid's gonna die. It's but
Well, they had that big,
so
the big flippers went over. So you saw the yellow raft, you saw the big flippers flip over, and then you just saw a big squirt of blood come up. And that was you.
When they first started, they had a dummy that looked a little like me. So after I swim out, the fake shark, this big mechanical shark, it was named Bruce. And they had a mannequin that looked a little like me on a raft. And then this mechanical shark comes up and grabs the raft. And they were going to use that at first. But this movie was made back in the days where, horror movies then was Godzilla, King Kong. They thought it was too hardcore because when the mechanical shark grabbed the little mannequin and blood flying everywhere, body parts were flying everywhere, they said, no, that's too hardcore.
Wow.
So they said this time, Spielberg goes, this time, beg your mother to go in the water and then swim out. And about 20 yards out, I'm kicking out on that little raft, and that water's freezing cold. And he goes, when you get out there, there's a machine that was like the size of a barrel, and it was full of blood. And you couldn't see it from the shore because the water goes right up. It goes right up to the top of the water. And this thing is full of blood. It's like a barrel size. And he goes, you're going to swim out to this thing full of blood, and then we'll say cut. So I did that, freezing cold, swim out, and then they had a half of a raft that was blown up, and they put it over this machine. He says, lie on top of it now. And when you're lying on top of it, it's going to explode, and that blood's going to fly up in the air. And then go in the water and stay under there as long as you can. So 12 years old, just got to this cold island, in May, and lying on top of this machine full of blood. The first time, it's like, okay, here we go. I'm lying, and like, bam, blood's flying up in the air. You've seen in the movie how blood's going everywhere.
Yeah,
sure.
And I went underwater, held my breath. It's like, okay, finally swim ashore, freezing cold. It's like, okay, we all set now? And Spielberg, wanting everything perfect, he's like, no, your arm was out of the water a little. We're going to have to try it again. And it would take like 7 hours for blood to clear out. So, since I had a speaking part, I had to join SAG, Screen Actors Guild. So I would go into a nice warm dressing room. All my friends were freezing their little asses off because I screwed up. And so we tried it again. The second time, oh, your leg was out of the water a little. And so 7 or 8 hours, 5 days later, they finally said, okay, this time we're going to try something different. We got 2 guys in wetsuits with air tanks. They're going to be underwater. And when the machine blows up the blood, they're going to each grab one of your leg and lift you up and down and then pull you under and then give you air. And that's why you see me go up and down.
Yeah.
The blood's flying up, and they have a machine with the fins that are spin. It's a machine that spins the fins around. And then also these 2 guys, I feel my leg gets grabbed, and they're lifting me up and down, then also yank you underwater and give you an air hose. So
That's
5 days later, I swim ashore.
This is for a 13-second scene. 13
I know.
seconds. This thing, though.
It almost sounds like Biden with the hair on his legs bit. Jeff, you don't mind? I have a quick clip. It's like a 10-second clip of it. Do you mind if we play that here?
Are you going to show me dying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a comic. I die all the time. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Man, that's unbelievably creepy. Creepy.
That was a lot of blood. And I did see them pull you down. I never noticed that before. They pulled them down into the water.
Two guys in wetsuits, and they're just yanking you under. It's like, but, it took that long to do it. And so finally, 5 days at $140 when you're 12-year-old, it's not too bad.
Hey,
you still got that money?
Then
you still have that money?
140?
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy because when it's on TV, you still get like a little royalty check. And someone came to the restaurant here, the Wharf Pub and Restaurant on Amity Island, Martha's Vineyard. And they said, oh, this girl has something that she wants you to sign. It was in a picture frame. I thought it was a photo of me dying, but I go over and I look at it. It's like, what the hell? If it's on TV, you get a check from Screen Actors Guild, and the top part of the check will say Universal Studios, the amount of the check. You rip that part off, sign it, cash it. The other half you throw away. And that other half has all the details, your name, what station it was shown on, and how much taxes were taken out, all, Jeff Voorhees, Social Security, union dues, all this. And that part you throw away. And these people from England in the picture frame, I look at it, it says Jaws, Jeff Voorhees, CBS, 1987. It's the part I threw away. They had in a picture frame.
That's crazy.
I go, where the hell did you get threw away back in the, I threw away in the 80s. Oh,
they have your but now they have their your social security number.
Well, no,
you have to shred that.
But it's funny. She goes, oh, on eBay on an auction. I go, you paid, how much money did you pay for something I threw in the trash back in the 80s? And they paid, $8,700 for it.
Get the hell
Wow. Well, I'm going to actually, Walt, we should drive to Martha's Vineyard and go check his garbage.
You would think that this guy would have figured out to save those little royalty stubs and put them on eBay.
I don't throw them away. They don't go anymore.
You know what the funny part about that is, John, real quick, the guy who got shredded by a shark doesn't know how to shred a check stub.
So someone's asking this, who played the girl at the beginning of Jaws?
Susan. She's really sweet because last year there was a shark tournament. The magazine Field and Stream, they had a shark tournament down in Tampa last July. And they said, oh, we want 2 people that were eaten by a shark to do a signing down there. We have Susan that dies before you in the movie. Can you? So they flew us down to Fort Myers last year. Tampa Bay was a signing.
Right.
And because they wanted 2 people eaten by a shark. So I was down there doing a signing with Susan. It's just funny because down there you had the person that made the shark. He was at the signing too. And this one, they had microphones and people asked questions. And he was talking about how the shark broke down so much and they have many problems with it. And then when I got the microphone, I had to admit to something. We were 12 years old. We used to break into where they stored the shark and at nighttime and climb all over it. So I was like, maybe it didn't work too well because we were 12 and we broke into that thing all the time with flashlights, climbing all over Bruce. That was the name of the shark. And the guy looked like he wanted to kill me.
Just so you know, people out there, Bruce was the name of the shark, but Steven Spielberg named it Bruce because that was his lawyer's name. Is that right? That's what I believe. I believe that's correct.
I know. I think he's saying yes as well. Hey, another thing, too, that we were just talking about, Walt, you and I, before Jeff came on, with a friend, Rich, she was telling us that apparently, I think the mom who played Lee Fierro played the mom, that when she slapped Brody, that Brody said that really slapped me. Would you know that, Jeff, to be the truth, that he went and she slapped him like
really hard?
Definitely, because it was funny. For years, Obama and Clinton came down to the island. And a couple of years ago, Obama's last trip down here, Good Morning America said, oh, we got Lee Fierro, your mother, in the movie to do an interview down on the beach. And since she was doing it, she's a sweet lady, I said, I'll do it. And that was something that came up. They said, oh, people ask you to slap him in the face and she said, yes, for like 10 years, I would do it. And then finally I said, I won't slap anyone else in the face. And then I said, oh, let me interrupt here for a minute. You're my mother in the movie. Come on, slap me once. And the guy behind the camera was shaking his head, yes, yes. And it's like, I'm going, come on, Mom, slap me once. And she was pretty older, and she, bam, a little tap. And I go, no, like in the movie. And she slapped me really hard. And when it was all over, the guy that was running the whole thing goes, oh, we only got 2.5 minutes for this interview. So that's probably not, they won't let that on there, but that will be on the internet. It's like, so people loved her to slap him in the face for that.
See, so it is true, though. It absolutely is true. That's
All right.
that's
He has Captain Quint stories, Robert Shaw stories. Give us a Robert Shaw story.
I heard they're not good.
Well, no, it's funny because, Spielberg, one of his first movies and stuff, and all the extras, all kids and stuff, and all these other people, everyone in the movie when you're watching it. They would have cookouts and little baseball games, and you see Richard Dreyfuss would be out there playing and stuff, and he was a nice guy to be around. But then also you look down far in the background, it was Robert Shaw, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go say hello to him. A 12-year-old, you just want to say hi to the guy. You run over, and before you get too close to him, you can smell the booze already, and then you run over. How's it going? And he's like, get away from me, you little shit. It's like he's not like in the movie. So, and that was just begging for abuse, because as soon as he said that once, they filmed it on this little island. So you see him around all the time. And every time we saw him, you have to run over and, how's it going? Get away from me, you little crap. And it's like, so we just had fun abusing the guy.
That's hilarious, though. That's hilarious. And by the way,
Shaw.
how would you like your nickname to be, Little Shit?
Right.
Well, they had a movie that they made a little book right after it. It was called The Jaws Log, and the whole filming and all that, and everyone used to say, oh, it's about you. You were the log of the shark. The shark ate you and you came out the log floating away. It's like,
there you go. That shark poop joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. You got to get Joey Cola to do that.
What now? Here's the other thing too. What made you decide not to do any other acting after that? Because you must have been like the bomb in your area for a while. Because that movie, because
probably still are.
But he didn't realize that it would become such a huge success or runaway thing, did you? I mean, you did just thinking like, oh, I can make a few dollars and it's fun.
Yeah, no, I was surprised. It really didn't. It started taking off more the older it got, I think, because they did do Jaws 2 down here, not as much of it, but we all signed up to be in the second one, and they get to me, they're like, you can't be in this movie. It's like, why not?
You're visibly dead.
I'm like, I'm different now. They're going, no, if the media ever found out, you ruined the movie. And I kind of walk away, depressed little kid. But
wow, that's wild.
But you should have done like Bobby Valentine, put on a mustache and glasses and come back.
Yeah, no, it's because you get people always come down to the island and they go, oh, so you were in the movie. And it's like, now, we talking Jaws or Friday the 13th? Jason Voorhees. It's like, no, it's mostly Jaws, but it was like Voorhees. That's the killer. It's like, no, I got
absolutely. Killed. We were talking about that. Yeah, Jason Voorhees.
People don't realize. So
no, you get people that come down from all over the world, and it's just unreal because I do signings and stuff. That one in Tampa last year, one in New York. There's one supposed to be up in Toronto last week, and they canceled that one. And then over in England, I told them I do it like 4 times a year, and they fly you around. But at some of these signings, it's unreal. Some of the people that, the one in New York, they had 20 different photos. I don't bring anything. They fly you there.
Really?
All you can eat, drink, sign pictures. And people would come up to the table, and they're like, oh, there's 20 of them. Do you get a deal if you get all of them? And the girl collecting's like, well, that's $400. I mean, they're $40 each. That's $800. $750, you can get all of them. I'll do it. It's like, and crazy,
other people,
right? This one guy, he made little Jaws coins. It said Bruce on it. I just had to sign the coin. Other people one guy had the actual barrel that goes underwater. And he's like, you're the only one that signed it. And it was signed by Dreyfuss, Schrader, everyone. And so I signed it. I go, you're going to go put that back in your car now? He's like, no, someone will steal it. And it's, some people, and this one guy, he comes up with a briefcase and opens it up, and he had all the little strips of the raft that float up on the beach after I died. And he wanted each one.
God. People are nuts, man.
But this one girl, she like opens her collar. She goes, sign right under the collarbone. And I'm like, $40. It's just going to come off in a couple of days. And she's like, no, I'm meeting up with Peter later. He's going to tattoo over it. It's like, oh God.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But
you're Alex Kintner. You weren't Brody. You weren't Sheriff Brody. You were Alex Kintner.
But it has to be more valuable now too, because his signature, everything has to be more valuable because there's less people from that movie alive today. He was a young boy.
Yeah.
And
who else is Lorraine Gary alive? I don't think Lorraine Gary is alive.
The people I do the signings with, like they said this year, it's the 45th anniversary.
Yeah.
And he was telling, he goes, and there's only, they know every little detail. They were like, there's only 7 of you still alive. And like this year they were trying to get as many as they could to do a couple of signings. But like Lee Fierro, she just passed away a couple months ago. And, but so there's not too many Jaws people in the movie Jaws. And I'm one of the ones still around, and I die first in the movie, or one of the first ones that get eaten.
Is there any way, John, I'm going to fight you on this, but can we buy the panties that were taken off by the first girl, Susan, in the beginning that she threw on the beach? And then we get them signed by Susan and Jason, or Justin, whatever his name is, Jeffrey.
You're thinking of different Voorhees there. You're thinking about the killer.
I grew up next door to a Jason and Justin, and I always get them mixed up.
There you go. But no, she was nice, but people would find all sorts, every little part. Someone came into the restaurant the other day, and they had a piece of the orca, like a little piece of wood. And I don't know if it was real or someone sold it to them and said it was part of it, But people come in with all sorts of stuff, parts of the movie, and it's, they made a little Jaws T-shirt, and it says the Kentner boys still alive at the wharf, and the front part has the wharf logo on it.
That's great.
The guy did it years ago, and he goes, "Oh, I updated it," and he goes, "I go fine, we'll sell them again for a little while." And he goes, "I updated," and he shows me the little kid on the raft. It says the Kentner boys still alive at the wharf. And this one looked more like it because the little kid on the raft didn't have much hair, as you can see. It looked more updated. And he goes, "I'm going to put this one on Facebook." And I go, "If you put this on Facebook, I'll sign the damn shirts, but I'm not going to be mailing these because Martha's Vineyard, Amity Island's a small island, and the post office takes forever." And the first day he put it on the internet, it's like, 1 in Germany, 2 in Denmark, 1 in England, and then one time some in Hawaii, 4 in, it's okay, I'll sign them, but you go mail them now. So it's just funny. And like today, these ladies came in, they got 17 Jaws shirts and they wanted them all signed. It's like, okay, I'm just down there signing T-shirts.
I'm seeing dollar signs here.
Yeah, I know. One of the guys just said I'm dumpster diving right now. And it's like it's trash.
It pays.
One of the questions was, what was Roy Scheider like working together with you?
Oh, he was nice. It was the funny part, everything, Spielberg, all of them were really nice, except for Robert Shaw. It's like, and that was, everyone making it, they would always, it's a small island, like that shark that they said the Kintner boy is going to spill out all over the dock. And where it was hanging up, that's maybe a 10-minute walk from the school, but so you'd be up in the school, and they drove that thing all the way up from Florida in the back of a truck back in the 70s. That's how they did it. And that thing stunk so bad. So when they say the Kintner boy is going to spill out all over the dock, you could smell that thing. You'd be in school and could smell that like a half mile up the road. And it was here for
that bad.
It took a while.
Look at that photo. Look at this photo. Is this great or what?
Yeah.
What a great shot. That's a great shot. That's awesome. Awesome. Really great shot.
The Kentner.
Yeah.
Now, Jaws 2. Jaws 2 is when the same characters were in there, except Richard Dreyfuss wasn't in, and obviously everybody who died in the first movie. Jaws 3 sucked. George, that was with Lou Gossett Jr. and I believe it was Dennis Quaid, and it was in 3D, and it was the worst 3D that was out there, if you remember that. And then Jaws 4 was Lorraine Gary went to the Bahamas with Michael Caine, Hobie, and the shark chased them down to the Bahamas. So those were the 4 movies, and you couldn't get into any of them because you got killed in the first one.
Yeah, no, and only the first one, a little bit of the second one they filmed down here on the island, because this, just back even in the 70s, this was an expensive island, and like Jaws 2, you can see little pieces of the island in that one, but most of it was filmed off this island. Jaws 3, I don't think any of it was on the island, and then the fourth, and they were all just taking kind of nosedives and ratings and things like that, but they wouldn't let me be in any of those. Unfortunately, I was dead.
I have the question I asked John before. The boating dock, the docks, and where Quint's dock was, his house and his shop, all of that was made by the movie studio, and they wanted to leave it there from what I heard, but the Martha's Vineyard did not want it there. They wanted them to take it down. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, they lots of things that this island, their rules were strict then and they're strict now. They let them do it, but they weren't going to let them leave any. They had to clear those beaches. They didn't want anything left out there. And like the scene where the beach houses, when I died, they had to have that all off of there like a day or two after. And this island doesn't really get going until like Memorial Day weekends, but they wanted it all cleaned up before. That was all part of the deal. So there was no way they were going to let them leave anything.
How often does he say, when I died? When I died? Well, when I died. Yeah, and I'm also thinking, because you're always referring to yourself in past tense, but really past tense, considering that's your film. If you could do it all over, would you change anything right now? And how does it feel actually to be in a piece of history?
No, they filmed it. It was fun making it, be an extra in a movie. And, people would always say, well, what was your favorite scene of it? And it's like, the good things are where little parades, remember the little parade, they're going up a street?
Sure.
And that's right outside the here. And it's a one-way street. It's a tiny little town and it goes the wrong way. And it's like, and I was in that scene too. So if you see a little kid banging on the drums, they weren't going to let me be in it at first, but they said, oh, wait, you're not dead yet. You could be in that scene too. But just lots of little things like that, and then if you're driving down the road that I died on, it's called the bend in the road. You take a sharp turn and you should be in Eggertown, but you go around the corner in the movie and you should be it says, welcome to Amity, the big, the sign up. And that's all the way on the other side of the island. It's like, so if you know the island at all, it's funny when you're watching it because it's like, wait, we should be in Eggertown. Now we're up in Gay Head. It's like just little things like that, or filming it. There's a lot of boats around, and like even my scene where, it's filmed on the beach, but you see sailboats in the background, and they would have to stop and wait for the boats to go by. Or a lot of the out on the Orca, some of those were filmed like right up near the shore, but it's supposed to be out on the sea where, no boats are around, and they would have to stop and wait for all the sailboats and all these charter boats to go by, and just to make it look like nothing else around but Bruce the shark.
Did you say what's it called? Gay what? Gay Head?
Gay Head. Gay Head is one of the 4. So it's Gay Head, right? If I'm not mistaken, Gay Head, Menemsha, Oak Bluff, and Eggertown.
Is he correct?
And Aquina is the real name of Gay Head. They changed it to the official name. And then you have Vineyard Haven, which is really called Tisbury and West Tisbury. So you have Tisbury, West Tisbury, Chilmark, Gay Head, Eggertown. And Eggertown, a lot of it's filmed in Eggertown because it's a big, the harbor there. You see the lighthouse. Yep. And that's all just right outside the building here. Because some cameos I do, it's like if it's too windy, because I run my dogs on the beach where I died. And so I'll do a cameo. I had one yesterday. It's like, oh, they're like, our father's a big Jaws fan. So I go, oh, have a Jawsome birthday from the dead Alex Kintner. Here's where I died. And people are like, oh, they love it because I'm doing it right on the beach where I died. But then sometimes if it's too windy in the winter, because I'll do it in the winter down there because I run some big dogs. I don't think Bruce could swallow my St. Bernard. black labs are smaller, but I'll go over to the dock where, the little boat that goes back and forth where they're going to try to close the beaches. And Brody had the signs in the truck. And he's like, you can't. That's right outside here. So, but it blocks the wind. So some of the cameos, I'll go over there and say, oh, here's where the sign was. And right on the other side of the dock is where they had that shark hanging up where they said the Kintner boys. So a lot of it's just, people love it because, it's right outside the building here. So you just say, oh, they go, a lot of people do these cameos from their house or an office because I do it cool. Down the so.
Now, Johnny, if I'm not mistaken, I think Gayhead is where JFK Jr. crashed his plane, right? Am I right with that?
Oh,
John F. Kennedy Jr.?
But the bigger one is in Eggertown on Chappaquiddick, if you're talking Kennedys. That's Ted Kennedy and the Dyke Bridge.
Yeah. That's one of them died and one of them murdered somebody. That was the difference.
Yeah, the murder.
But yes, Gayhead is where JFK Jr.'s plane crashed, right there in Gayhead in the water.
Yeah. And then Teddy Kennedy, he's the Chappaquiddick Dyke Bridge, the killing. Well, so
yeah,
never
left it there. Mary Jo Kopechne.
Yes,
that's right. What about the winter? In the wintertime must be like ghost town for you guys over there, right?
Yeah, this island's it's insane. It's like the winter, the year-round population, it's like 15,500. And in the summer, they talk like 365,000 in the summer. Wow. And it's just a madhouse. And back in those days, back when they filmed the movie, Labor Day, the island died off in Labor Day. Now, then it went to Columbus Day, then Thanksgiving. Now it really doesn't die off totally until after New Year's Eve, Christmas in Eggertown, and all that stuff that they have down here.
That's cool.
But that's like, that's where it's a ghost town. This time of the year, I live like a mile out of town, and they come down into Amity, Eggertown here. It takes me like an hour to get to town because parking and driving. You leave a minute or two before you want to get down here.
But you live on the beach. Do you live on the beach yourself?
Oh, I ran my dogs down there this morning, did a cameo down there, and it's like a 3-minute drive. I got to drive around the corner, and you're near all the beaches. I live in Eggertown. That's where the Lighthouse Beach that's in the movie, or that little ferry that's going back and forth, that's in Eggertown. The beach where I died, that's right up on State Beach in between Oak Bluffs and Eggertown.
He said he's running his black
Pretty
lab.
Cool stuff, man.
It is really
I love
cool.
it. Is there anything else from Jaws that would be fun for for us to hear about, or the people watching?
What, filming it or just?
Yeah, just anything. Did you see Steven Spielberg and Roy Scheider? Did they get on the Lolita Express and go to Epstein Island?
Oh, I'm sure he saw that. He's lucky he's not on the plane. He was a young boy.
But there's like Lee Fierro, that was my mother in the movie. It's one time she came into the restaurant here and she said there was an Alex Kintner at the wharf here. And I look out, it's like, oh, that's Lee Fierro. And I told the waitress, I got this table. And she was there with a friend. I didn't know her friend. And there was like 2 other tables. This was like in the spring. And I go, okay, ladies, what can I get for? And she recognized me but didn't say anything. And I go, I'm going to ask you ladies a real personal, odd question. Tell me to go away if it's too strange. And she's like, what? I go, do you believe in reincarnation? Because I think I died years ago and you look like my mother in my previous life.
That's hilarious.
Her friend's like, looks at me like I'm crazy. Another table heard me. And then she goes, oh my God, I had a son that died back in the 70s. And then she goes, how'd you die? I go, I think I died in the ocean. She goes, were you killed? I go, I think I was killed by an animal. She goes, were you eaten? She goes, I go, I think I was. She goes, it was a shark. You're my son. And she gets up and hugs me. And her friend's a heart attack. Goes, hey, we were in that movie together years ago. It's like,
that's amazing, man. Did she live on the island or no?
Yeah, she was one of the only ones that, like Susan, the one that gets dragged around first. They flew her in from California, but Lee Fierro, she was from the island and she had just moved off a couple of years ago. So you would see her. She still did like little acting plays on the island, and you would see her at least once a year, just bump into her here and there.
Let me ask you this though. I watched that movie, I remember there's two things that stuck out in my mind. One was that guy. I know that guy keeps walking by you twice without a mask. I think we should throw him in the ocean.
That's him. That's him. That's you.
Is that one of the guys that work in the restaurant? There he is. I see him. He's in a minute. There's two people robbing. You know what I always thought every time I watched that movie, I always thought that Lee seemed older as an older mom. I remember thinking every time I watched, I kept thinking she was too old to be the mother of that guy, that kid. That and also the sheriff's wife, even though she was a beautiful, slender woman. I remember thinking she doesn't look like the kind of person that's married to like a guy who's a New York cop. Yeah, didn't look right.
Nobody uses the word slender anymore either, by the way.
Oh, Walt, what should we use for ourselves? Husky is what I'm looking on.
That word's from the 70s, just like Jaws. That's good. You're doing a perfect wording on this.
How old was Lee Fierro? How old was she back shooting the movie?
I swear, I'm not sure how old she was, but that's all I hear from at signings or people. It's like she looked more like your grandmother, but you know.
We can do math here. John, how old was she when she died?
I'm really good at math. Hang on a second.
How old was she when she died? And then we just subtract 45 years off of it, and that's how old she was.
Lee died on April 5th, 2020. This year.
How old?
She was in her 80s, and she just died. She had the corona.
Yeah.
And so it's just recently, but that would be like a mother nowadays where you have kids when you're 30 and 40, but back in the 70s, that's where parents were 20 years old.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I had a lot of fun with this. This is, to me, besides Batman, this is one of my favorite pastimes. But thank you so much for coming out and doing this with us, Jeffrey.
Yeah, it's really appreciated, Jeffrey. And people that like Jeffrey, by the way, can get, and actually he's on Cameo right here. And it's cameo.com/Jeff123456
It's easy.
That's really easy. Matter of fact, I could add those numbers up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's pretty simplistic. I got it. So if anybody wants to see Jeff on Cameo, he'll actually make you a video. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at it today. There's a great Cameo screen right here. There is Jeff. I think I can show you guys. There you go. And he's made cameos from many other people in the past. So feel free to go to www.cameo.com, Jeff123456 And we'd like to thank Jeff for coming out and spending a few moments with us. It's really nice to have you here, Jeff. You are a pleasure.
Yes.
Well, it looks like you had a jawsome show going.
I can't believe I didn't think of that. But Jeff, I'm going to tell you this. If I ever get a chance to come back up to Martha's Vineyard, I am going to stop over at that wharf side and
I'm going with you, Walt. I'm going with you. We'll go there and have the burger. Sounds like a plan to be. In fact, I may be doing a gig in Massachusetts next week. I'm all over the place. So I'm only halfway there. I would love.
Thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Stay well, stay healthy, and it's nice to see you in your second life. You're looking good.
Yes.
Yeah, still alive.
Stay well, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Take care.
You have a good one.
Take care, guys. And once again, you guys can catch him right over there. Cameo.com, Jeff123456. We'll see you guys next week, 8 o'clock here on
Like us on Facebook, look on Strike TV, right? Like us on Facebook and YouTube.
StrikeTV.org. And if you like it, what are we supposed to do, Walt? What are we going to do?
Like us on Facebook.
And share. That's right.
And share.
All right. Take it easy.
Share.
Walt, stay well. I hope you stay hustling.
Ciao, baby.
Take it easy. See you next week.